Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of my Planet Coaster 2 series. So, this has been built, this roller coaster, for probably about a month and a half. It was the first roller coaster, and currently only roller coaster I've actually built in Planet Coaster 2. I've just kind of been puttering around, building some stuff. Later in the episode, you might kind of see what I have built in the background, because I do not build in order. I will very often build something, get bored of it, just want to take a break, build something else. So I'll build a building, which I know I don't want to be in this episode. And then later, for example, in this episode, I built the coaster, finished it, and then I built the first facade, so I could kind of play with the pieces and get the style down for the area. And then I went back and terraformed the mountain in. So, during the terraforming part, you're going to see a building in the background, and I'll show me building that next episode, but that's just a fair warning for how all of my videos are going to be, because I am terrible at building and editing as I go. I normally just get inspiration to edit and record a voiceover, and do all that just randomly. So, I'm not going to promise a schedule. I'm not going to promise that this series is going to come out every 2 weeks. Because one, I'm not a fast enough builder. I am super slow at building. And two, I just know I won't. I know I'll do it for maybe 1 or 2 weeks, and then I won't for a while, and I just don't want to promise anything that I know I can't keep up. But off that topic, I've been really enjoying Planet Coaster 2. I've had a lot of fun with it. I haven't had a lot of the problems people have. I haven't had the crashing. I haven't had problems like adjusting to the new pieces and the new controls. There was a little bit of it, but it hasn't really been that bad. I overall think it's a really, really big step up from the first game. The only thing I really want is custom media, which won't be used in this project, but I know for at least some future ones until it's added, like pre-shows and stuff, will just have to be only done by in videos and just in post. But onto what I'm building. I am building my take on an Expedition Everest style coaster. I'm assuming most people know, but Expedition Everest is a Vekoma coaster at Animal Kingdom. It's built in a big mountain, and it's really cool, and I think it's one of my favorite roller coasters I've ever ridden. But what this is going to be is this is my take on it. There's a lot of other things that happen too. For example, mine has 3 lift hills instead of 2, except it's also about 100 feet shorter-ish. Give or take a few. Couple, I think it's maybe the max height's 37 meters, I think, at the end, so that's 130 feet, something odd like that. But this is just generally my take on it, and it's also using I'm going for a Swiss theme. So, I have kind of come up with a story, I have a lot going on with it. It's a little bit silly, a little bit fun, but I quite like it. And I'm going to slowly kind of give out that story throughout this series until I, build certain parts. But for, what I've actually have right now and what's actually set in stone is this land is called Mont Utiger, and it was named after Arthur Utiger, who was the first person to summit the mountain. And so they named the town after him. And pretty much the kind of idea for the ride is, you know what, I'm not gonna say yet. I'll say a little bit later. And by that I mean in a couple episodes, because I like the story, and not many people actually know what it is, because I haven't built a lot of the story yet, but it's kind of funny, and I want to keep it a little bit of a secret. So I'm going to take back what I said. But on to what I'm building, because I should do that. So you're going to see a whole big mess of track for a while. And that's just how it's going to happen, because I haven't terrained the mountain. It'll all be hidden eventually. There'll be more rock work. But I'm kind of going for a family thrill coaster that everyone can enjoy. And I really want to keep a lot of it that's not in the mountain low to the ground, so I don't have to hide a lot of supports. And that's my biggest thing, because I want to keep this area quite immersive and very I like to build super highly themed. That's just kind of what I like to do. But coming up to this part, I struggled with this upcoming part a lot, because I knew I wanted to bring it back around into the mountain again, but I could not figure out what to do right here. So I went back and I changed, I mean, the entire layout got changed and fixed and all of that stuff. But especially just this little section right here that I'm building right now, I went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. I could not come up with something I liked. I built something and I hated it and I deleted it. And then I built something else and I liked it a bit better, but I still didn't really like it. And then I built something else and it went through it too slow. Like this right here is kind of the general thing I got at the very end. Oh, is it? Yeah, it is. There we go. But I struggled so much with a lot of this layout, and that's just because I knew what I wanted a lot of it to be, but not all of it to be, and I think that was a big problem. But also, it was a lot of fun, and I'm quite happy that I actually got started and started building this, because I putted around for the first probably 2 weeks the game came out, and I hadn't really built anything. I'd kind of actually that's a lie, I built some exit signs. If you're in need of a sign, I have exit signs and some other stuff on my workshop. It's pretty cool. I might link it in the description. It's just kind of something silly, because what I pretty much did for the first couple days is I was like, I just want to learn the pieces. And right when I loaded up the game, I went to the workshop and I found this super awesome little blueprint. I don't remember who made it, but it just had all of the smallest pieces you could have at the time. And that blueprint, I love that blueprint. It helped me so much with this, and just my building in general, knowing what pieces can go small enough to do the little details. Ooh, back to the video. So, you go into a transfer track, and that's where the final show scene is. So, there's just a little backwards section, because I know I wanted to utilize that you can actually go backwards now, because that's really cool. But I spent probably about an hour just going back and forth on the transfer track and how I would get it back to the station. I had a long block zone going across the entire coaster, and it was a pain in the butt to get how I wanted it to look. And then right here, so I'm onto terraforming. I wanted to do a little bit of just getting a kind of general style down for the mountain and the kind of surrounding area. So you can see I did a little bit back there. I didn't record it. I don't remember why. I think I just probably forgot to hit record. But I'm trying to really step up my nature game with this, because a lot of what I build does not have a lot of nature. It is normally just buildings and buildings and buildings, because that's what I like to build. Like, the last time I really did landscaping, I think, was with Delusion, and that was I think 3 years ago now, and I hate that. Maybe 2. I think it might be 2. But my other biggest beef with this game is that there's not, more alpine-colored rocks. There's not, the light gray ones we had in Planet Coaster 1. So I have to make do with the aquatic rocks. But little did I know at this time is that they glow in the dark. And I don't know why. I don't really like that they do that. But there's a couple that don't, so I'm definitely going to use those more. But especially, at least for this, is I had luckily chosen a color that was dark enough that I didn't have to redo the whole thing with different rocks. So I spent probably 20 or odd minutes just going through, because with this mountain, I know that as the rocks slowly get higher and higher to the peak, I want there to be a brighter and brighter color, so it just makes it look a lot taller than it actually is. But when I was actually, doing it, I took 20 minutes just slowly moving up in the grays on the color wheel, in-game, and then I'd turn it to night and make sure it didn't glow. And I found what I'm pretty happy with. It glows a little, very itty-bitty bit at the very highest color, but it doesn't bother me that much. And I think that's good enough for me. So the big idea, with a lot of my projects, is I like to go for pretty realistic, not as much as some people, like Theme Park Whirl or Blue Jay or people like that, but I try and push myself for each and every project to make it as realistic as I can. So throughout this series, you will most likely see lots of little nerdy things and all the fun stuff that makes it just feel a little bit more like an actual park. But with terraforming this mountain, I'm actually super happy with it. I had a method in Planet Coaster 1 how I would terraform mountains, but when I tried that in Planet Coaster 2, it didn't work. because what I've kind of found is they made the flattened to surface tool, or not the flattened to surface, the flattened foundation tool a lot less sensitive, so you have to hold it for a lot longer than you used to in Planet Coaster 1, so my old method doesn't work as well. So, especially just building this was quite the big... It was a tall task, and it was actually pretty tough for me, as I haven't done a lot of terraforming in either game. I do a little bit of rock work, or I do quite a bit of rock work, but it's normally just flat walls and not more mountainous terrain. So when I was designing Mont Utiger in my head, I was kind of looking at the Swiss Alps as well as Rocky Mountains, because that's kind of where what I know the best is the Rocky Mountains up in Canada, which is where I am from. So I kind of wanted to make it jagged, and I wanted to make sure it had a very noticeable skyline, you could see it from anywhere. So in the park, because this may eventually turn into a park. There's a chance, but I just knew that I kind of wanted it to stand out and have a skyline that you could kind of tell was, it's when you think of Swiss Alps, you think the Matterhorn and how that has a super imposing kind of structure, and I also wanted to make sure that it worked for this ride in general. Now, by the end of this episode, I have not finished the mountain by any means. There's going to be a lot more stuff. There's going to be more theming, more rock work. I want to have snow on top, as well as maybe a little, ruins, and, I just want to make sure that it, I'm hoping this is probably I think this will probably be one of my best builds I've ever made in either game. But you can kind of see me messing around with how tall I wanted it to be, and going in and out, and making sure, I think coming up, right after I built this, I actually changed which peak was the tallest, because I went back to the path layout I have for the park, the land, and yeah, right here. I was like, oh, I don't like how that looks, so I'm going to make this one taller, and I actually think that was a really good change. I think that really quite helped how it looked. As well, you will also see I don't actually terraform the back fully, and that's because I'm going to make there, a show building back there, so it'll be concrete walls, and I made sure that people couldn't see it from, the park paths. And I really I want to make sure that, in general, this is, I'm not going to go quite to the lengths of making sure every stair is, ADA code and all of that stuff. But, if I have stairs somewhere, I will put, a wheelchair ramp or stuff like that. That's kind of, the level I'll go to. And, I love doing interiors, so I know for a fact there'll be quite a few of those, and I'm excited to start working on all of that and all the theming and sharing it with you guys. But as I look at my timeline and I see the blue little numbers slowly ticking towards the end of the video, I just want to say that most of this was built on my Twitch, and you can come drop in, talk with me, give me some ideas, but I really just want to say thank you. I thank you for making this far, and I hope you have a great morning, afternoon, evening, or whatever time it is they're watching this. Goodbye.